Okay, so this is volume 4 of the Deadpool classics, collecting the Joe Kelly run up into the end of volume 5. This one, I want to say, um, as far as like half good, half bad goes, I'd say this is half great. There's some great stuff in here. And we're going to start off with, if you're a fan of the Deadpool movie, like the very first one, we have the Deadpool and Death annual. So it's a longer story, and it actually, he runs in with Death, who he has somewhat of a romantic sexual relationship with, and it implies that he's had some for a while. And so there's a big flashback to him as Wade Wilson, and when he first joined the Project X thing, where all the stuff was done to him, and we see him losing his hair, and we see just how horrible the situation is. We see Ajax for the first time, so it's kind of the whole Ajax storyline, and we see just how bad and evil Ajax is, even more so in this, because you see him, I think he kills someone in a hallway, and there's nothing they can do about it, and he just hates Deadpool, and they're always butting heads, of course. And all the times he dies and ends up talking to Death and coming back. But no, it's a pretty, if you're interested in the movie, you should see sort of where the origin of that origin story kind of came from. So the first few bits of Deadpool 2016 is kind of contained in here. And it's interesting that it ends with him dying in the snow, which is similar to how he was killed by T-Ray in the snow. And then it continues with the main storyline with 18 and 19. However, we have sort of the flash forward of Deadpool trying to get payback against Ajax, and that's what the next couple issues are. And he's nursing Dr. Kilbrew back to health while he's in this German woman's cabin in the snow, and it's kind of a funny issue. And then Kilbrew, at some point, I'm not sure if it's at the end of this first issue or maybe it's in the second one. Yeah, it's in the second one, but it's Ajax in his sort of super suit, so he's a lot more stronger. The final battle, the final judgment, and there's a point where Dr. Kilbrew actually sacrifices himself so that Deadpool can get away and heal more. And there's also a brief moment where it cuts to more of the Mithra's directive, but that's kind of what happens in this. Kilbrew actually did something good to make up for all the evil he's done and saved the day. So that was nice of him. So now we come to what is, I'm just going to say it's just 10 out of 10 awesome. My favorite issue of this, maybe not of this run, maybe of this run, but definitely of anything involving this Mithra's directive thing. This is a issue in which Deadpool kidnaps that Monty guy, the precognitive, and takes him to Vegas, and they have fun adventures in Vegas. Deadpool's dressed up like this guy. They have a few fights. Of course, the people are not happy that he had kidnapped him and just left like a scarecrow with a paper bag over his head that says, "Please do not disturb me, I am sleeping." And the great thing about this is this Monty guy ends up, having a really fun time and having a whole new life, and has like a spiritual awakening, and realizes that he wants to go for what he wants in his life. And it's just, I just kind of love that storyline, that it's just that it's kind of this crazy character takes someone very normal and ends up changing them and bringing them over sort of to his side. And there's something I've just always liked about that, where it's very positive. Oh yeah, he's fighting someone and he throws them past the comments page. But Unfortunately, at the very end of the issue, we see sort of just how evil this Dixon guy is. And at the end, he decides to wipe Monty's memory clean so that he doesn't have this new outlook on life. So it's a very upsetting thing once you get to the end of it. But the issue itself is just a fun roller coaster ride, and I loved it. So if you care about story arcs and you want to read them yourself, that's how much we're looking at. Like, more than half the rest of it is about that Mithras directive thing. And you know what? Maybe it's an attention span thing, or maybe it's just, man, does this ever start to get really wordy and just lots of exposition and lots of dialogue and stuff. But there's so much going on and nothing at all at the same time, where it's all about this training to see if Deadpool is going to be this cosmic hero that saves the day. Doctor Strange shows up to say, no, it can't be him. It's probably not Deadpool. You must be wrong. We find out that Dixon also believes that he is wrong. Cable, who also is a time traveler, shows up in the next issue. And it's kind of... Oh, there's a Deadpool with a box on his head because he didn't have his mask. But it's kind of cool to see Cable and Deadpool meet up sort of earlier, just the two of them, because they were in X-Force together. And they have sort of a fight, conversation, argument, whatever. But ultimately, Cable wants him to do the right thing. He wants him to be the hero. And so after that pep talk, shall we say, he's convinced. But I think by that point, Dixon is no longer convinced. In fact, Dixon has access or has changed some of the information. So I'm going to read these little tombstones here because this kind of tells the story. An alien life form will come to Earth in the late 20th century and bring with it peace and prosperity. A malevolent being will kill the alien Messiah, destroy the peace unless the Messiah is protected by the Mithras. So they think Deadpool's the Mithras. Actually, behold the Mithras. And there's a picture that looks kind of like Deadpool. But there's this extra piece here that says, Tiamat is too strong, Tiamat is too determined, and the Mithras will die, and another shall rise to take his place. So that might be made up. We're not sure if Monty actually did that or if it's part of Dixon's plan. So this begins a series called Dead Reckoning, but really this series has been going for like 3 issues before it. So he's basically training Deadpool, but in the meantime, Dixon's trying to find who he thinks will rise and take his place. And by the end of this issue, I believe Dixon concludes, that it's going to be Captain America. So he thinks Captain America is the right person for the job and not Deadpool. So the next issue actually is kind of fun because it has Captain America being led through LL and L, and it's kind of like, when they bring people to North Korea and make it look like it's not nearly as bad as it is, but it's clearly really bad. And he's got his skeptical moments, but he's trying to... he's still going to jump at the chance to do something in the name of justice in America and honor and liberty, etc. And no, maybe more justice than liberty, actually, to be honest. And the Watcher is watching. So, Dead Reckoning Part 3, Hero at Last. This is issue, 25. 25. So this is concluding a long, long storyline that was teased in the very first issue, and been going back and forth, and they give Captain America even more armor. But what ends up happening is when the alien force actually does come down, it's revealed that the cost of this Messiah is going to actually be human free will. So it's going to make the entire world like a better place to live, but everyone's essentially going to be a slave to this perfect place. Um, and Deadpool has to make the choice, and actually Captain America's against his choice. Captain America wants this nice happy world even if it means we lose our free will, and Deadpool says no, free will's more important. And so he might have he ends the comic believing that he might have doomed the entire world by deciding that free will was more important. So, and that kind of ends like the big old Mithra's directive story. So there's, of course, allusions to it later, but that is ultimately how it ends. He chooses the hero position that I'm sure everyone reading it would want any hero to choose. There's a little bonus issue here, which is Wizard Magazine has these like free issue zeros of a lot of comics, and they're always kind of goofy and a little different than the regular ones. But I think I have an issue zero of Eon Flux, which I think actually came out pretty early in the Eon Flux run. So, oh look, it's Uncle Ben and Aunt May naked, just cuz. And they'll make up for it by having boobies in the last page. But actually, there was a lot of like Wizard stuff where they deliberately had like, I remember around that era where they'd have like very explicit cleavagey pictures of like Laura Croft and stuff. But I thought that was a fun little ad for this particular volume. Because where else are you gonna put it? It was nice of Wizard, I guess, that they did that. I don't even know if Wizard Comics still exists. Probably not. A lot of magazines don't exist anymore. But yeah, Volume 4 had one of my favorite issues in it. It was if you like the big convoluted stories, it does have that with the Mithra's directive. But I personally, if you're binge reading like I'm doing, your eyes will gloss over when you get to stuff like that, and I think that's what happened. But other than that, meh. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay cuddly.